BloodMoon is the working title of HBO's first Game of Thrones sequel. It is set during the Age of Heroes, about 8,000 years before the original TV series, and is intended to depict the events of the Long Night. It was one of 4 successor shows that HBO actively considered for development before being canceled due to HBO's hostile reception of pilots. Jane Goldman was chosen to host the show, along with George R.R. Martin, Gray, Vince Gerardis, Daniel Zellman, and Chris Symes, all of whom are executive producers. On October 29, 2019, the spin-off was officially canceled. On June 8, 2018, HBO issued a press release stating that it had ordered a pilot episode for the Jane Goldman prequel starring George R.R. Martin as co-producer. The White Walkers' first strike in the Long Night occurred approximately 8,000 solid years before the War of the Five Kings occurred and the main plot of the series, during the Age of Heroes. In 2018, George R.R. Martin commended Goldman, but said that only the test script had been completed and no directors, locations, or actors had been considered. Martin went on to say that despite placing a test order, there is no assurance that HBO will order production of an entire TV series based on it. Additionally, Martin clarified that 3 other successor programs are still in active development. As Martin understands, HBO intends to have at least 1 and possibly 3 pilot episodes left on the prequels and then select one to develop on the strength of the experiments. He also suggested that HBO intends to hopefully launch its first prequel series in 2020, about a year after the original TV series ended. Enough time after that for them not to overlap, but close enough so interest in the series as a whole doesn't begin to die. Martin also gave a brief comment on the Long Night prequel, in which he directly confirmed that House Targaryen is not included in the prequel and is also not in their original Dragonlord civilization, the ancient Valyrian stronghold of the Free. As Martin said, no King's Landing, no Iron Throne, no Targaryen. Valyria barely began to rise with her dragons and the great empire she built. We're dealing with a different, older world, and hopefully that's an exciting part of the movie. This makes us more certain that not only the Targaryens but even the Valyrians are absent, as there has been vague speculation that dragon riders from another ancient and lost civilization, possibly Ashai, may appear, or even barbaric riderless dragons. Instead, Martin directly stated that there were no dragons in the Long Night prequel. The final title of BloodMoon was never determined. Martin said in his blog post in 2018 that he had personally chosen The Long Night for this prequel, but he doesn't have the last word. He also said that HBO might put Game of Thrones in the title so that people will know it's part of Game of Thrones. Throughout the rest of 2018, Martin constantly updated his blog. Not a blog reiterating that The Long Night was the name he wanted to call the project, but he had no control over that, and HBO warned him. He must make it clear that this is not a confirmed title. Fast forward to 2022, and there is still no concrete reason as to why the show was canceled, even after spending $30 million on the first episode alone. However, HBO officials say that the show was canceled because it lacked the depth and richness Game of Thrones itself had. The company thought the Iron Throne, dragons, and King's Landing were the things that made viewers enjoy Game of Thrones. And because BloodMoon did not have any of these, the company asked for another edit of the first episode, including some scenes that were not added in the first episode. The producers were finding it difficult to do precisely that, and so the company did not see it wise to continue with the show. And that was when House of the Dragon was announced. From the reaction of Game of Thrones fans, HBO made a colossal mistake by not moving on with BloodMoon. Some fans say that the Iron Throne or dragons is one of the many things they enjoy about the show, opposing the company's reason for discontinuing BloodMoon. But what are your thoughts on BloodMoon and how HBO canceled it?